Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here. So I've just finished watching episode 1 of the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. Wow. It's not that it's a groundbreaking documentary, but reliving what happened back then is very emotional. A lot of people see this case as interesting, entertaining, something they can talk about on Twitter. I think about that little girl and whatever happened to her at 3 years old. How scared she must have been. I have 10 nieces and nephews, and if I lost one of them, I'd be devastated. And I'd be hiring a bunch of manhunters to find that child and to find the perpetrator forever. You see, in Black Ops, when you're going to grab someone or if you're going to commit a crime, you need a cover story. What happened to Madeleine McCann? I don't know. Do you? But it was very interesting looking at the timelines, seeing when they checked on her. For those of you who don't know, they left their children in the apartment. And they went to dinner just 100 yards? Whatever it was. It wasn't very far. And apparently they all used to do this and they used to check on each other's kids. So the first person to check on the children was Jerry McCann at 9:05 p.m. This, to me, is a crucial timeline. Why? Because I believe whatever happened when he went to check on his children. I can only allege this. I have no evidence or no proof. But I believe whatever happened then. So, very interesting. I think Kate McCann, I can't remember what time, but she went to check, but she didn't really look. But then the door blew shut, which aroused her suspicions, and then she noticed that Madeleine was missing. But let's go back to Jerry McCann. Well, he told police that he went in there, the kids were fine, and he had a proud dad moment. Make your own minds up. I've got to be careful here. A young child's been missing for what now? A very, very, very long time. Disappeared off the face of the earth. You see, from the moment this happened, I was very fascinated by this case. And I investigated it myself and looked into it. It was impossible to abduct a child from that apartment. It was just not viable. It's as simple as that. That's all I'll say on that. It's interesting as well that their friend afterwards, just after the fact, came up with the groundbreaking news that she had seen a man carrying a child that looked to be asleep over his shoulders. This was a friend of Jerry and Kate McCann's. What struck me with the McCanns from the very beginning, that they seemed very confident in front of the camera. In fact, they looked like they were media trained. That surprised me, to be honest with you, how confident, especially Jerry. He seemed to do a lot of the talking at first. That staggered me. Where they went in the Algarve was a very bourgeois, expensive place. They were both wealthy doctors. When I look at the history of this case and I look at the money that's been spent by so many entities, by the British government, I wonder if Linda and Robbie down the council flat in Peckham had this happen to them, what would have been the result? Would the government of Great Britain have invested so much money in finding this child? I don't think so. What's certainly a fact, as far as I'm concerned, is that Kate and Jerry McCann are very well connected in very high levels. This documentary is interesting, but as I say, there's not much new information, but there's things I didn't know about it, like the timelines. The timelines are interesting when they were checking on the kids, and this is why I think the 9:05 timeline is very vital to whatever happened to Madeleine McCann. Losing a child must be the worst thing in the world. But my suspicious mind could only look at Kate and Jerry. I apologise to them if I'm mistaken and they're genuinely going through this. We can only make guesses to what happened. Where is the child? No body, no appearance. Where is she? She's vanished. Off the face of the earth. What started my ears raising up, going back to the case, was when the Portuguese police were being blamed by the British media. Again, if Roxy and Rob's daughter had gone missing in the Algarve, and this couple were from a council estate, I wonder if the British media would be blaming the Portuguese police. One thing's for sure, they weren't used to this type of case. The policeman admitted it, the policeman in charge admitted it. We don't treat this as a crime, we treat it as an investigation. The context there, again, is vital. The Portuguese police began to suspect Kate and Jerry McCann. They took action against him, and now I think he's taking action against them. Where is Madeleine McCann? It really is one of those mystifying cases. It is up there with who shot John F. Kennedy. But like John F. Kennedy's assassination, all the people who can be asked the real questions are so high up in the power structure, we can't get near them. I will carry on watching this documentary. What happened to Madeleine McCann is terrible. Terrible. When you're a child and you're growing up, you always believe your parents are going to protect you. Madeleine's parents couldn't protect her because they were out 100 yards away having dinner.